before you die. Rather than staying in relationships out of fear of being alone, more people are setting boundaries and walking away from anything that negatively impacts their mental health. They're realizing that love isn't supposed to be this exhausting, and that being single doesn't mean being unhappy. In fact, for many, it's the healthiest option. Do I seem peaceful? Am I calm? Look, I try to distract myself with things to do. I ride my bike in the summer, I work out every day. I am always trying to fill my time. They're focusing on healing, self-discovery, creating a life that feels good with or without a partner. Well, you know, most guys don't get a choice. We don't get a choice to have or not have a partner. We are forced to accept our loneliness and live despite it. You know, when I was a kid, I never quite understood. Like, you go over to like a great aunt's house or an elderly person's house or someone in the church's house that was single. My mom, she made a point to like go visit these women. And there were a few men my dad that like he worked with that were always single. They always had TVs going. They always had the radio on. They always had some kind of noise going in the house.
See ya.
And I never understood, like as a kid, why they would run the TV all night.
See ya.
They keep TV all the time. Because our parents, you know, they turn that TV off.
See ya.
They pay the electric bill. Waking home and alone, I absolutely understand. Leaving a YouTube stream on all night long. To hear something other than your own thoughts. And yes, I spend a great deal of time alone in my own thoughts. Part of the reason I do this YouTube channel is because I was sitting there talking to myself about anything and everything, and I realized I was actually saying things that would be appealing and make a lot of sense to me. It's worked out so far.
Fire!
Alright, let's finish this up. This thing pisses me off. The fear of divorce makes marriage seem less appealing. No shit, Sherlock. Like, divorce is basically a guarantee now. It's a guarantee. Like, they say, oh, it's only 48% of marriages. It's no. No. It's the majority of marriages. I don't hear any stories about people who are happily married. I only hear from guys that are like, yeah, this sucks. Wait till you actually find someone in your marriage. You'll see. I'm not even going to read it. Social media makes single life more appealing. Yeah, women spend a ton of time on social media, from influencers showcasing their solo adventures to endless posts about toxic relationships. Yep. Social media has painted an attractive picture of single life. Being single is no longer seen as sad or lonely. It's aspirational. Sure it is. Seeing others thrive in their independence has helped normalize the idea of happiness doesn't have to come from a relationship. Again, when have I purported that happiness is the meaning of life? It's not. That's something that I realized when I got sober, is that I would never be happy. It's a lark. It's not worth it. You're not. People don't want to compromise their lifestyle. More rhetoric about lifestyle. Relationship rules. Here we go. Okay. Relationships require compromise. For many, that's not something they're willing to do. I would say for the vast majority of women and men, no one is compromising. Because we're all convinced that we deserve the world. And that it's just around the corner. And we're destroying our society. We're destroying our nation. We've destroyed the West. We have nothing worth living for. We've got hundreds of millions of men who they have no reason to get up in the morning. no, I'm not saying women are the only point, purpose, and reason to be. But when 45% of your income goes towards funding the sex lives of single mothers, like, why do anything? Whether it's their routines, career ambitions, or even just their preferred way of living, people don't want to give up their freedom. Many have built lives they love and aren't interested in changing them to fit someone else's. The thought of altering their lifestyle for the sake of a relationship simply isn't worth it when they've already been content on their own. Modern relationships often come with expectations. All relationships come with expectations. Moving cities, adjusting work schedules, even making major financial sacrifices. But as more people embrace independence, they're realizing they don't have to change their lifestyle to accommodate someone else. Instead of feeling obligated to fit into a relationship dynamic, they're choosing to stay single and continue building a life that makes them happy on their own terms. Love comes from family and friends, not just romantic partners. Guys, how do families form? Now, I understand they're talking about siblings and parents, and I have worked very hard at my relationship with my siblings and my parents. But parents are going to die, and we're going to reach a fulcrum point where there aren't any families. The idea of romantic relationships are the ultimate source of love is fading. That hasn't been a thing for decades. More people are finding deep, meaningful connections in friendships, families, and even within themselves. A fulfilling life doesn't have to revolve around one romantic partner, and plenty of people are providing that happiness comes in many forms. Instead of chasing relationships, they're investing in love they already have around them. In many ways, the shift has made relationships feel less like a necessity and more like a choice. Yeah, nobody likes their choices. I never reported to say that they were a necessity. People are no longer seeking a partner to fill a void. They're building strong support systems that don't rely on romance. Friendship, family bonds, and self-love. Self-love has become just as valuable as romantic connections, making the single life feel less missing out, more like a valid, fulfilling task. Yeah, until there's no children. Until there's no kids. And there's no one. None of you care. None of you care. You're all being to listen. You can't wait for the bleak dystopian future where we all just sit in our goon pods. Like I said, I don't like this future. I would like to meet someone. I would like to find someone. My only standard is be in physical shape and enjoy sex. It's kind of the point. You know, nothing about this article did they mention sex at all. Like, they're all, like, convinced that we live in this post-sex world. You know, there have been times in my life I've had a lot of sex. It's very brief, but there have been times in my life I've had a lot of sex. And there have been times I've had no sex. The vast majority of my life, I've had no sex. I can honestly say I was much more emotionally regulated and a lot happier and enjoying my existence when I was physically touching and fucking someone else. I've been single for 15 years. I've pretty much built a life that's pretty much like I don't need much to live. I've given up on a lot of my aspirations and desires. I lead an okay life. I've accomplished a ton. There's one gaping hole in my life I would like to fill. It does not seem like anybody is interested, and it seems like a top-down, scorched earth, blitzkrieg campaign to convince everyone that just being alone until you die is going to be better. I would like the chance to try for a relationship. Honestly. I have lived alone for a very long time. I have been without for a very long time. I am not asking for happiness. I would like a chance to sit at the table. And that is not coming to fruition. Not the best article, not the best. Let me know what you think. My name is Raymond, and these are my thoughts. Want your housing crisis, want your housing crash, it's coming. There's going to be a lot less people that need homes. College is an antiquated, archaic, Soviet-era style institution now. It's only a matter of time before they collapse. The only people going to college en masse are women. That's it. And they graduate into the bureaucratic and management jobs. You can't have a society that's just educated managers, and the rest of your society is quote-unquote uneducated tradesmen and people who turn the levers to keep your world going, but they have no motivation to. There's no reason for them to. Do you understand the fundamental disconnect here? When there's no reason to get out of bed, your power stops working. People are really only going to start caring once the things they take for granted stop working. Sewage, indoor plumbing, the lights. Once the switches stop working, the internet. Once it starts really hitting their pocketbooks, their retirement accounts, their investment accounts, writ large, it's going to start reaching a critical mass. We're starting to see the cracks form in the zeitgeist. Market watch today, U.S. population growth is stalling, threatening the once reliable returns of these recession-proof investments. Oh, look at that. Shocker. Now, all of a sudden, people care. There's not enough. It's not enough that they already view us as mindless peons to just do what did Sam Hyde say? Cogs in the machine to turn the levers to keep their industry going so they can continue living their life in abject splendor while the rest of us exist in basically feudal bedlam. Some real estate and municipal bond markets may be under threat by changing demographics. By Joseph Coughlin. This is actually a big one. This is an important subject I want to talk about. Okay, there's no headshot or bio. It's just his articles here. So, Joseph Coughlin. Oh, the graduates. Yeah, there's going to be a lot less college graduates moving forward. It just is. It just is. Two seemingly unrelated demographic trends are sending powerful warnings to the capital market. Emptying high school classrooms and millions of unused bedrooms. You guys want your housing crisis. You want your housing crash. It's coming. There's going to be a lot less people that need homes. College is an antiquated, archaic, Soviet-era style institution now. It's only a matter of time before they collapse. The only people going to college en masse are women. That's it. And they graduate into the bureaucratic and management jobs. You can't have a society that's just educated managers. And the rest of your society is quote-unquote uneducated tradesmen and people who turn the levers to keep your world going, but they have no motivation to. There's no reason for them to. Do you understand the fundamental disconnect here? When there's no reason to get out of bed, your power stops working. I feel like I'm talking to deaf ears. These parallel developments challenge long-held assumptions about recession-proof asset classes and signal a fundamental reshaping of investment landscapes driven by the destructive ripple effect of the longevity economy, aging demographics, and declining birth rates. The Western Interstate Commission for Higher Education latest, quote, knocking at the college door report provides the first indication of change in education markets. The Commission project projects that 2025 will mark the peak of high school graduates in the U.S., followed by a steady decline. The peak, 2025. Followed by a steady decline. It's here. It's here. The future is now. It's game over, man. We're not messing around anymore.
Working with Eugene Berger is truly a partnership. Only because, one, I gotta say this in personal shout out to Ruby. Absolutely love her. She's amazing. But the entire team over there, right? One, as I mentioned earlier, we purchased this building, we came in, and so we were new to the community, new to the environment. But they've been very open, very sort of interactive with things and responsive. It's probably the best thing I can say. So I would say it's a partnership.
Although the projection suggests that the decline does not indicate a cliff, it does show a clear downward trend. From a peak of approximately 3.8 to 3.9 million graduates, the number is expected to decrease by 3.1% by 2030, a concerning 10.5% by 2041. This trend challenges the conventional belief regarding the recession-resistant status of student housing in college towns. Oh, yeah. I didn't even think about that. That's a great point. That's one of the first things that are going to go as an investment class. Absolutely.
Fire!
Rolling into some, like Wittenberg, rolling into Springfield, Ohio, and buying a $40,000 house, putting some paint on it, and renting it out for $2,000 a month. Those days are long gone. From an investment class standpoint, absolutely. The second signal comes from American Homes. Realtor.com's analysis of Census Bureau data uncovers a nearly invisible trend. The number of excess bedrooms nationwide has surged from 4 million in 1970 to 31.9 million in 2023. I do not use the bedroom in the front of my house. I absolutely do not use the bedroom in the front of my house. I have an excess bedroom. My tenants on my rental, they definitely use every square inch of that place. They got 2 kids. They're great. They got multiple pets. They got 2 kids. Every time I go over there, it's chaos, but it's wonderful. The proportion of excess bedrooms among all bedrooms has more than tripled, rising from 2.7% in 1970 to 8.8% in 2023. This trend is solely about larger homes. It's mainly driven by decreased household sizes, which have fallen from 3.1 people per household in 1970 to a record low of 2.5 in 2023. Yeah, and what of that 2.5 is actually just a single mom and 1.5 kids? Think about that. So it's not 2 adults and half a kid. It could be literally single parents. So now you got 2 housing units, 2 sets of taxable incomes for one mouth to feed.
These trends are interconnected indicators of profound disruptive demographic changes that demand a rethinking of investment strategies across multiple asset classes, with far-reaching implications for capital markets, real estate markets. The traditional single-family home market faces pressure from both ends. Young families are forming households and having children. Fewer young families are forming households and having children, while empty nesters are aging in place in larger homes. Good, let them. Look, you spent your whole life paying off a McMansion, keep it. You know, my parents, their lot, because of the school district they live in, their lot is worth almost $400,000. The fact that it has working septic that really only needs an inspection and maybe a little bit of work, and a well, makes it invaluable. Like raw land, you could spend $100,000 putting a well in a septic system. You find a property that has an older house on it with a well and a septic already in place that works and is inspected by the county and passes, that's a $500,000 lot in their school district. Because everybody wants to be in that school district. I won't get into why. But locally, it's a very affluent, it's a $1 million mansion over there. And their house was built in 1970. It is a ranch. It's a 5-bedroom because the dad converted the garage to 2 bedrooms for me and my brother. My plan is, you know, one goes before the other. I'm going to do everything I can to make sure that, you know, if it's dad or it's mom, that they can stay there for the rest of their days. Why is everybody in such a hurry to rob old people for what they've rightfully earned? You know, human beings are supposed to respect the people that came before us and worked hard. Don't give me this, oh, boomers got it easy and they got a house for 2 nickels and a blueberry. No, my parents bought their house 20 years ago for $170,000. It appreciated with the market rate. $170,000, their mortgage is still almost $1,500 a month. This abject hate of older people has got to stop. The traditional single-family home faces pressure on both ends. Geographic variations are telling. Mountain West cities like Ogden, Utah, 12.2% empty bedrooms, and Colorado Springs, 12.6% empty bedrooms. Leads in excess capacity, while expensive coastal markets like Miami and New York City only are about 6% respectively, show lower rates. These patterns suggest a coming redistribution of real estate values based on demographic realities rather than historical patterns. Well, historical patterns change. That's implicit in the rule of studying historic patterns. Like how long can you study something before your trend becomes history? It's like everybody bemoaning the zero-bound interest rate for 15 years and how basically historically low interest rates of 7%. Why are you complaining? Well, it was zero for almost 20. The majority of first-time home buyers never experienced anything but a 0%, zero-bound interest rate environment. Now, all of a sudden, in 2 years, is 8% to get a house loan? Of course. That's unprecedented. Because, fundamentally, you weren't in the game 20 years ago to buy that property. Or the student housing sector may face not only cyclical but also structural challenges. Well, good. Good. Like, I hate to be cynical about it, but good. Many universities are already experiencing a decline in enrollments. Good. According to a report by Higher Education, the enrollment of 18-year-olds dropped an average of 7% in 46 states this past fall. Private regional colleges are under pressure, competing with larger states and private universities for students. In fact, 73 public or nonprofit colleges have closed. Good. Where did they close? There's a link here. Tracking college closures. Okay, I'll go check out that at some point. Having closed, merged, or announced plans for closure and mergers since 2020. Since March of 2020. What happened in March of 2020? Oh, geez. It's a Scooby-Doo mystery.
See ya.
The Federal Reserve estimates that 80 colleges may close within the next 5 years. Clearly, many large and prestigious universities will continue business as usual, but others may need to resize or repurpose entire campuses into industrial parks, innovation centers, or senior housing. That happened in my hometown. The high school, the old public high school downtown, they turned it into a nursing home. That happened 30 years ago. It was a big deal. And look, it was a big deal. And luckily in Troy, the city has kind of like the people that live in Troy have a strong appreciation for the history of the town. So it's a very strong historic district. My rental is adjacent to the historic district, so in downtown. But they don't like to tear down their own buildings, so they still utilize all of their public schools. They haven't built any. I guess you could say the high school's new, but that was built in the 60s. And I guess the middle school is new, but that was built in like the 80s. I don't know. Maybe the high school was built in the 80s. I remember my mom saying she was one of the first students that, I don't know, it's old now. The idea of student housing as a defensive strategy in economic downturns may depend on fewer and select institutions of higher learning. Yeah, here's the thing. I would still bet on single-family homes as the number one rental income market because everybody wants their own yard. Like, it's quite, like, you guys can bemoan all you want. Oh, live in the city, live in an apartment, live right downtown where all the action is. People want their own yard. Like, the fact that my rental is a 1,600 square foot standalone, no shared walls with anybody else, makes it more valuable. In the vast majority of America, it makes it more valuable. The student housing market is about, you want to talk about real estate sharks in Charlotte. They roll into a town and buy shit for pennies on the dollar. Foreclosures, stuff that's getting ready to fall over, and they just basically slap some paint on it, call it student housing, and charge $500 to $1,000 a room. Maybe it is $1,000 a room now. I don't know, but they make bank. Municipal bond markets. This one is going to definitely come to a head in the near future. The tax base. Once the tax base starts really effectively drying up through either bend, stopping participation in massive, high value employment, where they realize that you can survive on like $2,000 a month after taxes, so you really only need to make like $32,000, $35,000 a year, and you can actually survive on $2,000 a month. That's why they're making it. That's why inflation exists. It's so they can perpetually keep their tax base higher. And in mass, men are waking up to the fact that they don't need to try. Like women don't want us, so we don't need to go out there and make buku bucks. And we are the net highest tax producers of anybody, by far and away. And younger millennials and Gen Z, they don't have, like, I have this honor thing inside of me, like in my head, where I feel bad if I'm not working. Like today is supposed to be my day off, and I'm recording videos, managing my YouTube channel, and it's supposed to be my day off. I should be curled up on the couch watching Lord of the Rings or something. I can't get myself to do that. I'm addicted to work. That's all I have. Anyway, you understand my point. Cities and towns. Okay, local government finances face a double squeeze. Declining school enrollments affect education-related revenues, while changing household composition impacts property tax bases. Even affluent bedroom communities such as Newton, Massachusetts, or a suburb of Boston, known for its excellent public school system, have considered opening their schools to surrounding communities to stave off decline in enrollments and revenue. Interesting. Let the riffraff in. Cities and towns heavily dependent on educational institutions or family-oriented suburbs may need to reimagine their fiscal structures. This could trigger a broad repricing of municipal debt, particularly in regions most affected by these demographic shifts. Oh, the rooster's going to come home to roost, guys. And all these multi-million-dollar brand new schools that all these municipalities built, with the exception of Troy here in town, which keeps their older schools and keeps them going in perpetuity. All these municipalities, they're about to all go bankrupt. I'm keep telling you, 5, 10, 20 years down the line, stuff's going to start not working in mass. I mean, public infrastructure, because and again, my audience largely doesn't care, because you think the world would be better without humanity on it. I fundamentally disagree. My ethic is fundamentally antithetical to that mental predisposition. Let's continue. Commercial real estate. This is the real canary in the coal mine. The ripple effect of demographic change extends to retail and service sectors that have historically depended on student populations and family demographics. The traditional assumptions underlying commercial real estate investments need to be recalibrated to realities of demographic change. Retailers, entertainment centers, restaurants, and service providers may need to adapt to serve smaller households, fewer students, and aging populations. Investment opportunities and transformation. While these demographic shifts pose challenges, they also create opportunities. New investment vehicles focus on property conversion and adaptive reuse may emerge. The aging population drives, that always happens. The aging population driving these trends will create demand for different types of housing and services. Senior living centers, healthcare, real estate, and properties catering to smaller households may become growth sectors. There's going to be a lot of demand for single-family rentals and just single-family homes in general that are like the house I live in right now. It's over 100 years old. It probably came up in the 1890s, 1910s. It was probably built somewhere. It's a national folk style house, which is kind of like an amalgamation of just stick frame with wood cladding. Like, it's an amalgamation home that came up around little hamlets that formed around railroad stops. There used to be a railroad line that ran right in front of this property. And actually, you could still see the berm where the railroad was. It was only demolished a couple of years ago. And it curves through and it goes to the old granary that's about half a mile down the way, 4 or 5 properties down the way, which is now a rental apartment complex. And that's basically the old hamlet center. This area where I live, there's maybe 50 houses in total. A couple miles down that way, there's a little side street that goes this way, and then there's a few more houses, and then it makes kind of a triangle. So there's houses that go down that way, there's this little triangle of a bunch of houses, and it's like a bedroom community, but not, like, it's very quiet, it's very nice. People are nosy. If somebody that we don't recognize, they go outside, what are you doing here? My neighbor, this family came, or this, I think they were begging for charity. It was like this black kid trying to sell Girl Scout cookies or something. Or I don't know. They pull in my driveway and see me getting out of my truck, and I'm just looking at them, not glaring or anything. They just literally back up and go to the next guy. They saw me and they said, yeah, we're not getting any money out of this guy. They park in next door, and my neighbor, who's this like certified old boy redneck, all wiry guy that ran a side company for decades, really salt of the earth guy, really a good neighbor. He's the one that has the house, and he owns a donkey. Like, he's just a guy. His wife grew up in this hamlet, like in this area, this little group of houses, and remembers when my commercial shop used to be a grocery store back behind. This is commercially zoned, and it used to be a gas station, a weigh station, and a grocery store in the 50s. And it just has such a rich history. But they park in his driveway, and he comes storming out. What are you doing here? They get right back in the car. Oh, that's great. And Randy, you're a bunch of rednecks. Oh my goodness. Well, you know what? I'm allowed to be proud of where I am in my cultural heritage. Everybody else gets to. Anyway, let's continue. Oh, my point. What was my point? God, get on these tangents. Single-family homes. Smaller single-family homes. Like this one. 800 to 900 square feet. 2 bedrooms, 1 bath, perfect for one person. They're going to become incredibly in demand as people my age, people my age and younger age, because none of us like I mentioned getting roommates, and everyone younger than me, they just like freak out. It's anathema to them. They hate the concept. Roommates are like verboten. They're Voldemort. My sister, she lives in Chicago and she rents for $2,000 a month because she refuses to live with another person. I don't know how the marketers managed to do it, but they managed to convince all of young people that living with other people to save money is somehow beneath them. It's impressive, really, that they were able to convince an entire generation to waste all their money on rent. I had roommates until I was literally 33 years old. There was 1 or 2 apartment instances where I lived alone, but that really was in like a complex that was super loud. I was surrounded by, it wasn't peaceful. And I was drinking the whole time too. But there is a market for existing 800, 900,000 square foot single family homes. They will appreciate in value. And the rents that you can command, even in Ohio, I could probably rent this place, just the house, for $1,200 a month. I would have to put a bath fitter on the tub and put a new vanity and fix that sink. And I could probably get away with the kitchen as is because it has that kitschy, like 1950s metal cabinetry that people love. But you just have to find the right young couple that like look at this and go, oh, that's so romantic, you know. Or middle-aged woman that, you know, wants to do something kitschy. But I rent the house out itself for $1,200. My rental now is $1,500. And it's a the oldest gate, I would think 9 on the county map for the property. It shows the plot and it shows the actual structure. It's 1848. It's at 175 years. This house was at least 1890s, 1910. And then it's on to National Folk style. And then if I include the commercial shop in the rent, I can probably command between $1,500 and $2,000. But if I pay the commercial shop for business use and just rent out the house, I can rent it for $1,200 a little more, but what is that? $13,000 a year. And the taxes is $850. The insurance is $1,500 for a year. So smaller single family homes, if you want, like, you can still find them in small towns where it's gonna have a lot of single older people because nobody's get together for a year. They leave or they leave their homes behind, if that makes sense. While these demographics pose challenges, they also bring opportunities. New investment vehicles focus on property conversion and adaptive reuse may emerge. We are with that. For institutional investors, these demographic disruptors demanding fundamental reassessment of portfolio strategies. The gradual nature of these changes provide time for adjustment. The direction is clear and irreversible for decades to come. Yeah, that is putting it lightly. Traditional investment strategy assumptions about recession-resistant sectors, predictable demographic patterns, and lifestyle demand rethinking. The convergence of empty classrooms and empty bedrooms. Boy.
See ya!
One is downstream from the other.
Freeze!
And empty bedrooms are downstream of decades of dead bedrooms. We have had a multi-pronged attack on the nuclear family, the strongest traditional structure in human history is the patriarchal nuclear family. And they've destroyed it in 100 swift years. With industrialization, what do you call it? Tech revolution.
life tech,
See ya.
medical tech, internet, social media tech. Uncle Ted's right, man. Not about the mail delivery packages, but Uncle Ted was on to something. And this is just a bleak article. The destructive demographic of an aging society and declining birth rates means that through reevaluations of investment strategies, the fundamental drivers of capital markets are needed. Assets once